Hello folks, welcome to IoT Time, the podcast by IoT Evolution World. I am Ken Briodagh, editorial director for IoT Evolution, and here on IoT Time I try to talk about all the things that I think are interesting, innovative, and hopefully important in the Internet of Things. This is a very special video episode. I know you folks are used to only hearing me, but now, unfortunately, you're subjected to seeing me. We're here at the IoT Evolution Expo in Las Vegas at Caesars Palace, and we're going to be spending all week digging into the issues that are really facing you folks out there working in the industry. We're really excited about it. Today on the first day we're doing some special workshops. Our security certification series is today, sending folks home with really some practical knowledge and some tools that they're going to need to make all our IoT a little bit safer, and so we can stop seeing these horrific headlines in all the consumer news. We're also talking about connected home today and our API hot list. So as we've now touched on software, I've segued beautifully into my guest here.
Well done.
Thank you very much. Why don't you tell the folks a little bit about yourself and your company?
Hi. Thank you, Ken. So thrilled to be here today and just really happy to be talking about Breadware and be part of IoT Evolution Expo. So Breadware is a 2-year-old company founded in Seattle back in 2015. Myself, I suppose I'm a classic electrical engineer, in fact a biomedical engineer turned entrepreneur, partly with my will, partly against. I did my MBA at Oxford University as a Rhodes Scholar, and before that I was doing electrical engineering consulting, mostly for software and mechanical design companies that wanted to get into IoT, but didn't have the in-house electrical engineering, hence Breadware. So we founded the company initially working on sort of bespoke engineering solutions for these businesses that knew precisely what they needed, what data they wanted, how they wanted to process it, what they wanted to do with it, but didn't know how to make the tech. I co-founded it with a mechanical engineering lecturer from UC Santa Barbara, and about a year ago we started rolling out software platforms and solutions both for the prototype and for the production volume of IoT electronics.
So I'm curious, what is it that folks are looking for that they're having trouble developing in-house that you guys are able to help with? What kind of solutions are they working on?
Well, I think there's a multifaceted answer to that question. First off, folks are usually interested to know some of the both technical and business model considerations and trade-offs when looking to get into IoT. It's an interesting space, exciting space, but if you haven't stepped into it before, it's riddled with peril, right? So how do you set up the business model to leverage this product as a service, and how do you set up the product to leverage the internet connectivity? So I think often our engagements start with a sort of technical and business consultation, which we offer for free with the businesses that we're working for. But then often they're looking to collect certain types of data and they're looking to send it to the cloud. And so the questions become, what sensors do I need? How much is it going to cost me to develop? And how much is it going to cost at unit volume in production? And so we get all that information in a free 48-hour quote, and then that sort of becomes the longer-term relationship with Breadware.
Awesome. And so, as I mentioned before, today is our IoT security certification summit, and I'm always interested in where the security discussions take place. Now, you're working right at the beginning of the process with some of these companies. Are you guys embedding security in your software, or are the companies typically handling that end of it themselves?
So yes and no. So we have two parts of our solution. We sell these prototyping toolkits that are actually light on security. They're meant to be open because companies sort of inject them with the security that they choose to use. For our production solutions, we have different communication offerings, for the networking layer that we can insert for security. But in reality, Breadware focuses on the electronics, and we work with a network of partners that can then provide the cloud layer, the cloud intelligence layer, the mobile app layer. IoT is interesting because it's sort of a weakest link game, right? So you have all these disparate layers, almost every engineering discipline ever in this little tiny product, and you have to make sure they're all secure. My CTO next week is speaking at DEF CON on IoT security in a particular workshop where they're hacking IoT devices, so that should be an interesting one.
Yeah, they've done that the last couple of times at DEF CON, and it's always a lot of fun. I get some good stories out of it, because there's always a good breach or two.
Plenty of good stories, and there's a wall of shame, so fun's had all around.
Of course. Now, you said that you're doing sort of take-home developer kits and stuff, and you mentioned to me before that you're working with some of the universities and trying to get some of these development kits into the classrooms. Can you tell us a little bit more about how that's working? Yeah,
absolutely. So the development kits that Breadware sells are called the Mega B prototyping kit and the Nano B prototyping kit. Obviously, one's bigger than the other. We target them towards freshman, sophomore lab courses in universities to help break down the traditional silos in university engineering curricula to deal with IoT. have been working with University of Nevada, Las Vegas. That's appropriate, topical for the location, and also universities such as University of Dallas, Texas, Stanford University's integrated some of the lab courses. We also host build-a-thons, hackathons, and teach workshops to sort of build out the ecosystem for these kits in the way of thinking about IoT.
So what does Breadware think is the bread and butter of IoT? What are some of the really good places to start if you're an enterprise level company that's looking to integrate some IoT into their own systems for efficiency and then into their products to sell?
Well, Ken, I have to say I appreciate the bread and butter pun. Thank you. The way we think about IoT, or rather the challenge we see in IoT, is partaking in lean development. Something that's taken software by storm over the last couple decades, but has been very difficult in an IoT device due to the separate hardware and software that's being developed simultaneously. So we created Breadware in order to allow businesses to develop their prototype on the same componentry that they'll be going to production with. That means they don't have to respin their embedded stack once they make it. They don't have to recreate their security after their prototype. So it's all about creating a continuum of easy steps to go from proof of concept to prototype to production volume. And that's where we see the most important needs today in IoT to increase more access to the companies, and particularly the trades that want to get in and build new IoT product.
That's cool. I like the idea of sort of lean code and lean programming because and lean hardware because a lot of the IoT stuff is sort of falling into two different camps. There's really bloated sort of proprietary, I call it bloated, proprietary big software, and then there's a lot of sort of plug and play solutions where people are just trying to make it easy, where it's drag and drop code and just, sensor produces X, data Y, and so on and so forth. Have you seen that same kind of split happening, or is it sort of starting to come back toward the middle again?
Oh, absolutely. The split is real, and I sort of use the analogy of the evolution of the computing stack, right? Where you have all these different layers, and then you have specialists in the different layers, and that allows for sort of flexibility and robustness in the design. I think that IoT, for as far as we've come, we're sitting somewhere near like the Apple I, right, in terms of the technological development of this space. Because like I said, we do have disparate industries. They don't feel like layers yet. And so a lot of companies are forced to sort of wrangle the whole thing at once. And so bloated isn't the right answer, nor is a completely plug-and-play solution. Like, it can't capture the flexibility or the constraints that businesses are faced with. So I think that we're going to see some interesting development tools evolving over the next couple of years, and we're hoping Breadware will be a key part of that.
Awesome. And finally, where are you guys headquartered?
We're headquartered in Reno, Nevada. Recent transplants from Santa Barbara, California.
That's all right. It's a drier climate. It's nice. And would you say that your clients, I would say, are typically consumer-facing or more on the industrial side?
It is a split. Initially, our clients were more consumer-facing, and we would work with product design consultancies. We're getting more clients that are now looking at industrial IoT and increasing operational efficiency. I think that's more of a reflection of sort of the macro system interest in IoT. We are happy to work with both types.
We have a session coming up later in the week called Consumer Creep, and it's sort of about the industrial space learning a little bit from the consumer space. What are some of the different development needs that you've seen, and what are some of the ways that one can learn from the other?
All right. Well, so on the consumer side, I often see requirement for world's smallest and world's lowest power, right? Which is important. We're talking wearables, we're talking things that you can use in the smart home, we're talking about things that need to last for a year on a battery. In industrial, the requirements are more revolving around security, ruggedness, and reliability. And so it's often evolving an existing IT stack with SNMP architecture to an IoT device. Size and unit costs maybe aren't as much of a consideration. So I see those as the trade-offs on what are prioritized versus IoT versus consumer IoT.
Cool. All right, as we get near the end here, I like to keep the episode short and bite-sized. Why don't you tell the folks how they can find out more about you and about Breadware out on the worldwide interwebs?
All right. So please check out Breadware at www.breadware.com. You can also buy our Megabee prototyping kits through Microchip Direct, or you can come visit our headquarters in Reno, and we're happy to give you a tour of the office.
Are you a tweeter?
I am learning how to tweet.
So you've got a Twitter handle. Let's hear it.
Daniel Price 523.
All right, that's at Daniel Price 523. Feel free to send him all the memes, and he'll really appreciate that. And also some DMs. Find out more about Breadware, folks. I think you can find me on Twitter at Ken Briodagh or at IoT Evolution. Please visit IoTEvolutionWorld.com for all the fits that's news to print in the IoT. Make sure that you check out the IoT Evolution Expo.com. That's IoTEvolutionExpo.com to join us for all of our Expo adventures. You're probably a little bit late for this one, but we'll be in Orlando in February. So you can join us there, and keep an eye on our hashtag IoT Evolution and hashtag IoT Time for all the news from the show this year. We're running out of time, but thank you so much for joining me for this.
Thank you very much, Ken. Glad to be here.
Pleasure was entirely ours. My listeners always appreciate getting an intelligent voice of reason on the show instead of me. Folks, that is, I'm afraid, all the IoT time we have left, but we'll catch you next time. Have a great day.